Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. And nice to have you guys come on. We appreciate it big time. Okay. Let me just attach my mic here. And let's see. As you get your notifications, we enjoy having you on. And let me see if I get on my wife's device here, notification, so I can say hello. Yep, it's coming up, I think. There it is. Okay, let's see. Brahim, you're back to number one. How did you do it? Sandy in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Kevin, our dear friend from Oshawa, rainy Oshawa. Yeah, you know what? It's fall here in Northern Ontario, in case we didn't get the memo. Andrea, Niagara Falls. Hi, Andrea. Tina, Nova Scotia. Rosalinda from the Kidneys of Canada, Niagara Falls. Nativity. Rosa from Montreal. Wendy from Wasaga. Carrie, Nebraska. Madeleine, how are you? Marl, Ottawa. Doc McEwen from West Tennessee. Nick from our staff. Janine, how are you? Lori, Alberta. Sandy from Vancouver, Washington. Francis Marie, good morning. Elaine, St. John's, Newfoundland. Bruno. And Rose, how are you? Jocelyn, Sturgeon Falls, how you doing? Frida, Devlin, Judy, New Brunswick. Eileen, good morning from Brampton. Karen, Little Britain. Laurie, Cambridge. Madeleine, did I say hi to you already? Wendy from Aylmer. Thea, Francis from Vaughan. Wanda, Virginia. Cheryl, good morning, West Virginia. Cheryl, if I could sing, I'd be singing, along with John Denver. Okay. Nativity says, me. Hi, Nativity. Cindy, Karen, and Sharon from Kansas. Millica from Stouffville. We appreciate you guys. David, Faye, Patricia from Calgary. Marla from beautiful Oregon. How are you, Marla? Danny, how is you? Suzanne, Jocelyn, Catherine, Springdale, Newfoundland. Debbie from Comox, British Columbia. Now, where is that, Debbie? Want me to look it up myself? Okay. Margie, Dennis, Patricia from Florida. Lots of Patricias. Dave, Yvonne, Babita, how are you? Janice, you guys are wonderful. Brenda, Jeanette, Lorraine, Annette. Okay. Donna and Gigi from Ottawa. Douglas from West Tennessee. Good to have you on, Doug. Patricia and Cheryl. Lots of Patricia. I think I saw at least 4 this morning. Okay, guys. I want to talk to you about I want to answer a question. I want to answer 2 questions this morning, okay? The first one is I didn't really give much of an answer the other day. I think it was 2 weeks ago on Q&A Friday. Somebody was asking me about peptides. And I didn't elaborate too much. I just said, well, I know what they are. But I think the question was, and it was, I think a mother asking, because her son was really interested in peptides. And guys, listen, okay. So let me, and I didn't elaborate, and I should have. But I was thinking about something else, another question I wanted to get to that I saw at the time. So I didn't spend a lot of time. But let me just give a little bit of clarity to that question, because it is one of the newest things in medicine. and that is peptide injections. So when you hear about Wegovy or Ozempic and others, these are what they call GLP-1 injectables. Now, they originally, at least Wegovy and Ozempic, were made for diabetics. And now it's a designer drug for weight loss. And there's other peptide injections that you can get for muscle building, to elevate your growth hormone. And so the question was asked to me, Doc, what do you think of these things? Well, we've talked a lot about Wegovy. Is it Wegovy or Wegovy? I don't know, and I don't care. Ozempic, okay? We talked a lot about it because I always tell people, listen, these things are designer drugs and they've been made famous by Hollywood because they want a quick fix. You want weight loss? I get it. Guys, you have to understand something. I'm one of the most sympathetic people you'll ever meet. No, I mean it. I'm very sympathetic. I was in practice for almost 50 years. I had patients that just struggled with weight loss, and I had a weight loss clinic. And there's no magic, guys. There's no magic. Now, these things are slightly magic, these injections, because without changing, you'll lose weight. Here's the problem, the major problem with these peptides, peptide injections, okay? You're going to lose weight, and I'm going to grab I love having it right beside me here. I can hardly lift my 5 pounds of fat, okay? You see that? You know what the problem is when you lose weight rapidly, like with a peptide injection, like Wegovy or Ozempic? You don't lose this. The problem is you're going to lose a little bit of it, but you're going to lose mostly muscle and not fat. And so it's not sustainable, guys. The second, and this has been proven, so you don't have to take my word for it. The second you stop, the weight comes back. And this is why, for me, I was huge on the reset. For a lot of reasons. But getting to the issue in weight loss was getting to insulin. Because insulin is a fat-storing hormone. So, for me, that was the key. And then secondly, when you get past 21 days and into that last week of your reset, this has been proven by tens of thousands of my patients over the years. And tens of thousands more who have read my books on the metabolic reset. Tens of thousands. Doc, I didn't realize how much of a carboholic I was. I didn't realize what carbs do to me. Crappy carbs. Okay? I said this to someone yesterday. Like, nobody ever got fat. Eating fruits and vegetables. Okay? Now, I don't want you to focus on fruits and vegetables, but if you want to have fruits and vegetables after the reset, I got no problem with that. That's not what's messing you up. It's the molecules, sugar molecules holding hands. Like pastas and noodles and cereals and breads and juices and sugar added. But guys, these injections, okay, and I realize they're different injections, okay, like the ones that we talk about the most are the ones that are so, I mean, you can't even turn on the TV anymore. And they're all over television. I went to a ball game a couple of weeks ago. It's on the screen at the ball game. Ask your doctor if Ozempic is good for you. Why do you got to ask your doctor? Why? Because you need a prescription. But you can get like peptides. And guys, okay. And what I didn't answer the other day, okay? Let me answer this so that you understand it. When you eat protein, am I big on protein? You bet your boots I am. Eggs, meat, and cheese. In nature, the way God designed your body, you're meant to eat protein and fat together. Not carbs and fat. Like a donut. Carbs and fat. You don't want that. You want protein and fat. Okay? Now when you eat protein, it's broken down into amino acids. Okay? So protein is the building blocks of the body. So when people are vegetarians or people are vegans, they get protein, but they don't get complete protein. They don't. They don't. They get partial proteins. That's all right. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just telling you, they're not superior. A steak is far superior than any vegetable that you can think of, including salad. I'm sorry, you're not a rabbit. Cows eat grass, so you don't have to. Okay? So just understand that. So when you eat protein, they're broken into amino acids. 20 of them. You need them. And the best ones are the most bioavailable, and they're found in the animal kingdom. So if anyone tells you you weren't designed to eat animal foods, run, Forrest, run. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay? Now, in between the protein and the amino acid are peptides. Okay? A little molecule between the protein and the amino acid. They're called peptides. And now they've become designer drugs. And guys, look, I'm on your side. I got your back. You know, I told people, well, do you want to take Wegovy or like, there's no magic. You got to understand, when they inject those peptides into you, you got a boatload. And I didn't even know to the extent, but I said this years ago. I said, be careful what you wish for when it comes to these peptides, because they can cause a boatload of side effects, because they disrupt nature. They slow peristalsis in your gut. You need the little motor that pushes food along. Well, it can become paralyzed. A lot of people, you know what happens? Even in their stomach, because these peptides have an effect even in the stomach, never mind the bowel, where food rots in there. And you can get a major nausea, vomiting, serious, hospitalized side effects. And now they're finding blindness. Comes out of nowhere. No signs. Severe eye disease. Ozempic face. There's a lot of side effects. This is why I'm always hesitant. They're saying, well, doc, it's a miracle. Yeah, well, miracles don't have side effects. These peptides, they have side effects when you inject them into people. I'm much bigger on you and me eating protein in nature, fat. You know one of the best pro-peptides that you can get? Bone broth. It's a pro-peptide. I love bone broth. You guys know that. You want to make a shake for your kids? Put bone broth in there. It helps because it's so full of L-glutamine too, an amino acid. You know what it does? It knits. Think of I watch my wife knit at times. Like her hands. Doesn't even think. I can't get over it. And then when I see her doing that, I go, that's what bone broth does inside of your little lining inside your gut. It repairs. It knits it. Okay. Anyway, somebody asked me. I said, I better answer. I was sort of mad at myself for not taking the time, but anyway, it was a Q&A, and you know me. Actually, somebody last week accused me of not answering a question. Okay. I take that seriously. I'm an open book, guys. What you see is what you get. Okay? Like, I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer. I did Q&A for 20 years on a radio show. Q&A. That's all it was. I pontificated for about 5 minutes, brought in some new studies, and then we opened the phone lines. We didn't even filter the calls. We should have, I think, sometimes. But we had such a good run of 20 years. One of the most popular syndicated shows. People loved it. I loved doing it. Tony Jr. and I, we shared the platform on The Doctor Is In. And now it's a podcast. Okay, so, peptides. Okay, I think I've answered. Okay. What else did I want to do today? Okay, I think we got time to do another topic, because this was asked a question to me. Dr. Martin, would you bring out your old books? They're out of print. Well, a lot of them are. I got some here. Let me just get you one. See if I can find it. I want to ask you, okay, watching live, who do you think that is? Did I ever look like that? My word. See, even then I said, okay. Dr. Martin has a PhD in nutritional counseling and clinical nutrition. He is the author of many articles and books on nutrition. and involved in several research projects. At the time I was doing clinical research, and I actually, this book, by the way, okay, Steps to Fight Chronic Fatigue for the Modern Woman, okay? I should bring this back because it talks about a lack of energy. It talks about wired but tired. It talks about, one of the things that I mentioned in this book is, Doc, here's the question. Not the question, the statement they would make in my office. Doc, I'm tired of being tired. I wrote about it. I broke it all down. Well, of course, in the late 80s, there was a real epidemic. And it was unbelievable. It changed my practice. And that was people, especially women, it was 95% women, suffering with chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay? And we didn't even call it that. Not at first. We called it, well, the world did. I didn't call it that. They called it the yuppie flu. The yuppie flu. It was flu-like. Exhaustion. And I saw a lot of it in my office. And you know when I really, really got interested? When my wife got it. Now, you got to understand something about Rosie. We used to go running together in the morning before work. Like Rosie's a nurse, registered nurse. She helped to run my office. And she'd run. I'd go for a run. I'm not kidding you, okay? We're talking, go back in the 80s now. I used to run 3 miles in the morning. My wife would run 5. I said, nah, what are you going home for? She was the ever-ready bunny until she wasn't. And, man, when it happens in your family, all bets are off. I mean, it changed our life. And my wife had trouble getting out of bed. My wife, who had never been depressed a day in her life, was exhausted. Brain fog. She said, it feels like I got cotton in my brain. Okay? Pain. All over the place. Unexplained. And exhausted, but really weren't sleeping properly. And they came up with a term back in the 80s called fibromyalgia. Well, I wrote a book on it. Okay, I'll show you. I think I have it right in front of me. Well, so this one's in French. See? That one there says, La fibromyalgie. I wrote it in English and French. Chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. I went to Europe and I gave a research paper on CFS and pine bark extract. That's how I discovered pine bark extract, is with chronic fatigue. It was the only thing that I found in my practice that worked. It didn't mean it cured it. It just means, my wife said to me, if you don't find me more of this stuff, you're dead. And I got a healthy fear of my wife. She said, you find me more. Because she said, I feel better with it. Less pain, less brain fog, more energy, better sleep. And the rest is history when it comes to Navitol and pine bark extract. That was me personally. And then I use it with, I mean it, tens of thousands of patients in my office over the years. Okay, that's the story. So, poor mood, poor focus, poor sleep, poor immune system. Every bug that came around, people with CFS would get it. Constantly sick. So here's me. I'm not a guesser, I'm a tester. I tested everything I could get my hands on. All the blood work, all the hormones. And here's what I found, okay? Because somebody asked me, you asked the question, Dr. Martin, would you, you made a statement, not a question. Would you please bring back your old books? Well, that's not that easy to do, okay? Because I would want, first of all, to update them. And I'm not saying I won't do it. By the way, Tony Jr. and I just wrote a new book, okay? Coming soon, we'll make an announcement. We wrote it together. Well, we've written a lot of books together, okay? He's the brains of the operation, okay? I tag along. No, but listen, okay? Here's what I found and the causes. So it wasn't a virus. It wasn't Epstein-Barr, because that's sort of went around for a while, and they said, well, it's the Epstein-Barr. Yeah, but only about 50% of the people. And by the way, if you were to be tested properly, you'd find out you probably got the Epstein-Barr too. Like the Epstein-Barr virus is just like the herpes virus. If you got the chicken pox, you got the herpes virus. Does it bother you? Well, some people it does, because it comes out. Cold sores, herpes zoster, in shingles, right? But most of the time, most people have it, and it just lays dormant, and that was Epstein-Barr. So I said, no, it's not that, because 50% of people didn't even have the Epstein-Barr, and they had chronic fatigue. Here's what I found. Documented. Okay? I think, because I published my research, and guys, when I say research, okay, it was clinical. It was in my office. And we did questionnaires, and we looked at people that had been diagnosed with chronic fatigue. If I didn't do it, someone else, some other doctor diagnosed them with chronic fatigue. And that usually, back in the 80s, that meant, we don't know what's wrong with you, so here's your label. They didn't know. Even fibromyalgia. Rheumatologists were saying, you got fibromyalgia, and the patient would go, why? I don't know. Don't look at me. But you see, I wanted to know why. Why? First thing that I mentioned, I think I was the first, is adrenal gland exhaustion. Nobody talked about the adrenals unless you had Cushing's or Addison's. They never talked about the adrenals. What are you talking about? Cortisol. What? It was adrenal. Your adrenals are like battery packs. And I said, the battery got drained. Now, it wasn't just the adrenals. It was mitochondrial. It was everywhere in the body. You got mitochondria everywhere. Lots in the brain, lots in the heart, lots in your muscle. These people had adrenal exhaustion, mitochondrial exhaustion. I think I was the first guy to say it. I went after leveling out cortisol, that stress hormone, because I said, you got stressed. How do we know that? Through the questionnaires. It was often after antibiotic use. And that's why, secondly, we said the second cause, and there's usually two or three, One of them is leaky gut. Leaky gut. Now go back 30, 40 years and talk about leaky gut. Who are you? I remember because I published that book and I had a publicist, a media person. I did a lot of radio and TV interviews. I probably did, I don't think I'm exaggerating. In a 10-year period, I probably did 500 interviews on national radio, national television, because people wanted to know about chronic fatigue, and I gave them an answer. And boy, did I get pushback though. Doctors didn't like that. Adrenal gland. What are you talking about? You're a quack. One guy told me that on TV. Quack, quack, quack. I said, well, you tell the women that are watching this program right now that they're crazy. It's all in their head, said Dr. Stupid. It's all between their ears, said Dr. Stupid. That's what I called him too. I said, you're Dr. Stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. It's adrenal gland exhaustion. It's leaky gut. And part of the exhaustion came from exposure to toxins. One of the biggest factors, consistent, that I saw was exposure to mold. The overuse of antibiotics for bladder infections or kidney infections or bacterial infections. It wiped out their good bacteria and it caused leaky gut. And then the other thing that I talked about was food. And even back then, I talked about the sugar and insulin. So 3 factors: adrenal gland exhaustion. We looked at leaky gut and how toxins got into the bloodstream, especially yeast, fungus, the invasion of the Trojan horse, and how that became systemic and even came into the brain and exhausted them. And they were full of toxins. And so we changed, here's what we did. We changed their diet, tried to cut out all the sugars, protein-rich diet, okay? Probiotics, even back then. Pine bark extract, Navitol. Why? It worked. Out of 1,000 patients, for example, you get 900 and something that would see, yeah, I feel better on it. Like, not cured, just better. Okay, that's something. Nothing else was given that. Because we saw it all, guys. I had everybody from all over North America sending me things that might help for chronic fatigue because they heard me on the radio or they saw me on a TV show. And I was out pumping out these books. And I think we sold almost 50,000 copies of this one. I wrote a book, The Bark with the Bite. I was on TV a lot. Vitamin D, the sun, how much better they felt. Do you know that mold cannot exist in the sun? You won't find mold in the sun. In the same, sunlight kills mold. So here's me. Put them in the sun. Put them in the sun. Vitamin D. Supplement. B12. Before the sublingual, it was B12 shots. It helped. Fix their sleep. Cortisol. Get it under control. Drink coffee. Even with adrenals. Because people used to come at me. Coffee? And isn't coffee going to really mess up the adrenal? No. I mean, you might have to drink decaf. Figure it out. And drink water. What? I don't want you drinking anything else. You drink coffee and water. Water. You want a detox. 2 liters. 64 ounces. Do you hear me? Suck it up, buttercup, if you don't like water. Too bad. Your body needs it. You're like planet Earth. 75% water. That was me. That was back then. So maybe we rejigged the books. I don't know. Okay? Not questions, statements. Some questions. Okay, guys. We love you. I haven't said that lately, have I? Well, yesterday. Okay. No, we mean it. All you new folks that came on this morning, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. You have no idea. Tell your friends. You can re-listen to this on the Doctor Is In podcast. Go through the list. Go on your smart device. Go through what number are we at? I don't even know. I'd have to look it up. On the Doctor Is In podcast. And just look, scroll through, see. Go, you can go back and listen. Okay, I talked about chronic fatigue before. It's not the first time I've done this. I've talked about adrenal gland exhaustion. It's not the first time. I talked about category 5 storm, which is chronic fatigue, by the way, usually. Okay, all of it out of whack. Thyroid not working properly. I didn't even talk about that this morning. What we did with the thyroid in exhaustion here. Okay. Okay, I'm breathing. Guess what tomorrow is? Q&A. Already coming back to a theater near you. Question and answer. Okay. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.